Wi-Fi issue. I'm going to assign the ticket to myself. So it's titled Wi-Fi issue. We have an office space with about 10 people, and the Wi-Fi keeps dropping for some people. Okay, Wi-Fi keeps dropping for some people. It happens randomly for people, and it happens maybe 2 to 4 times a day. I suspect it's because there are too many people logging in on the same Wi-Fi network, but not sure. Actually, I think you might be onto something here. How would you go about troubleshooting and diagnosing the problem, and what would be your solution? What would you do to improve or stop the Wi-Fi signal from dropping? So, from what I understand here, it's not that the signal is bad, it's just that people are being just randomly dropped off. So first thing first, we need access to the router itself. So what is the router, right? How do I get to this? Most people have this type of question when they're like, well, I don't know how to make these changes. So I'm going to show you how to do all of this here. The easiest way to find your router IP address so you can log in is if you open up a command prompt and type in IP config/all. So here you are, you're looking at a bunch of different things, and um, you're looking at things and they're like, how is this going to help me? I mean, we got a bunch of different, a bunch of different information for my local network adapter. In this case, I'm using this one down here, which is this Ethernet adapter. This is what I'm connected to, and here's some information that I get. So how is this useful to me if I don't know how to log into my router? Router is a gateway. You can say that it's a gateway to your internet, right? Once you connect your components or Wi-Fi, in this case Wi-Fi users, they're connecting to the router, and the router itself, you can be considered as a gateway to the internet, like a door, right? Gateway to the door. So for those reasons, we're going to look under default gateway, and in this case, it's always going to be your router is always going to be your default gateway. So we got two different versions here. Here is IP version 6. That's not going to help us. We can't use this to use it as part of internet protocol to log in as a web internet protocol, I should say. We can't use the IP version 6, but we can use IP version 4, which is right there, which is the same thing as this one here, except it's translated into IP version 4. And you can see that also your DHCP server, which assigns the IP addresses and allows computer to connect to Wi-Fi or physical network. But in this case, let's talk about Wi-Fi. DHCP server dynamically assigns IP addresses to computer that are connected to Wi-Fi. Okay, and it's the same location because your router is your DHCP server, and it's also your gateway to the internet. All right, so let's just open up a new tab and paste that in. And here it is. We just pasted that IP address, and here is our, router. I'm logged into the router already, and for this, what we're going to look for is how many people are allowed to connect to the Wi-Fi. So we're going to connect, in this case, the connectivity. It's going to be different for your router or whatever else. And you can see what, my IP address is for, not IP address, but my settings for my Wi-Fi that's set up. Here is the password, blah, blah, blah. This is just an example password that I just kind of put in there. And what you're looking for, in my case, you're looking for internet settings, a local network. And this local network is basically all the people that are locally connected to your router and who are connected to your Wi-Fi, right? Which is the same thing. Your router is your Wi-Fi, and then you can hear limit of how many people can be connected at the same time, right? So if you change this setting, you can limit of how many people can connect to it. If you have 10 people, right? If you have 10 people, like you've said in your ticket, you might want to set it to 15, like it was here. Just so in case you have additional people that connect. Because people can be running in and out. Maybe you have some guest logins that people can log into, this and that. And for those reasons, you want to change this number to be a little bit higher, because you may have like somebody's cell phone connected, somebody's laptop. If you have 10 people working in the office and every laptop is connected, that's 10 right there. But then if you got 5 people who are also connected with their cell phone, then even 15 may not be enough. So you might want to actually double it to 20 in case everybody decides to connect to it with a phone and their laptops. And then you can just apply, and then it's going to reboot the router, this and that, and that's how you could go about this. Of course, make sure you test the signal for the people that are being dropped. If it's random people, then it's most likely just a limit of how many people are allowed to connect at the same time. And I just lost connection because I rebooted my router, as you can see here. So we're going to I didn't think of that. I forgot that I was remoted into it. But here's an example. I mean, this is what can happen. So you got to be careful. I'm just going to wait for it to reconnect, and we're going to reconnect, and then we're going to note that ticket and just continue from there. Here it is. It came back very quickly. I didn't even stop the video or anything. Let me just squeeze this here a little bit. So I'm going to say here, I'm going to reply. Again, this is not a typical ticket for, well, I don't know, it depends which help desk you're working for. You may get this type of ticket. I don't know. But either way, log into their router and see, make sure that there's enough IP addresses or enough connections are allowed, as I've mentioned. Now, obviously, check the signal. Usually signal is the issue, but in this case, I'm going to assume that it was the amount of people. So I'm going to say, hello, this is Irvin with PC support. The reason I didn't do this on previous ticket because I already done a ticket for Raji, and Raji should already know who I am, right? So, but I've never talked to this person. And I'm sorry, I don't know your name. It just came up as Wi-Fi issues for your name, and that's fine, but thank you for submitting a ticket. I'm going to say the issue is most likely with the amount of people who are connected to the I'm just going to say to Wi-Fi. You can change these settings within the router. And I'm just going to leave it at that because this person seems to be a tech support person as well. And for those reasons, we're going about this ticket a little bit differently, where I don't have to talk to them in the sense as if they were, real user or real customer. Well, I mean, everybody's a real user. It's just in a help desk environment. Usually, users are referred to people who need help with computers, and I think this is an IT person. And I'm just going to close it because in this case, it kind of seems like just more like an advice. But yeah, definitely never close any tickets until you make sure that everything's resolved. And if you have as help desk, if you access to that router, you can make the changes like I showed you here in the router. You can do this on their behalf if you're allowed to, if you have access, this and that. And of course, I would check the signal first more than anything. Make sure that that is okay there. Okay, moving on.